Yes, so we're going to pick up the test we did from last time. We built a ordinal linear regression model for using the 2022 NFL season, regular season and playoffs to see the relation between points for, points against, to how far teams made it in the playoffs. Okay, so I want to look at that. I think I still have it up on my R because I just redid it. And I want to just look at it and see, show you some things first. So let's start with that. If you have any questions, just speak up or raise your hand, whatever you want. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we ran the model last time. Go away. Okay. But so we ran it last time, but we didn't really finish using it. We just got a model basically for the 2022 regular season. So yeah, let me see. So I started here. Okay, so let's go back. Let me just go back and show you some of this stuff. So here's where we start, and we need these two packages. I do anyway. I use these two packages to do this. And you have to install these first. So you can do that by going to packages and then install packages. It will ask you to pick a site from which to install. I usually go to this one down here in Tennessee, and then it will give you a list of packages to install. And all that does is download them to your memory on your computer. Then you have to load them every time you start a new session. So, it started to do something. Yeah, it started to get ready to do it. We just canceled out of there. That's okay. So that's the first thing is once you have these two installed, the tidyverse and the math, then you are ready to go. You got the libraries you need to do this. So I know my files were in downloads, so I set, yeah, actually this isn't the right one though. This doesn't have the playoff designation, how far the teams went in the playoffs last time. So I picked the wrong one. You know, I was in here, NFL 22, I went and read this. You know how when you download a file, at least in Windows, it won't give you a warning. It will just, if that file name's already there, it will just overwrite it and then put like parentheses 1 or parentheses 7 or whatever, however many copies you have of it, which is a smart thing to do. It's a safe thing to do. But anyway, I just put in the regular name. It wasn't the right, it was an earlier version, and that didn't work. So I went and copied it to, I copied this file, I renamed it. I copied it from the one we made last time. I think we all did it together, right, in class? And we set the playoff round over here in this column here. So this is how far they made it in 2022. And we don't have to beat a dead horse or anything. I mean, we did this in pretty good, slow steps. So we won't need to do it again necessarily, but we could, if you want, show you how to do this, put this in here. But I think you remember, you make a vector and you set these, you kind of have to do this manually. There are other ways probably, but I think we did it manually. So the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, the Eagles lost the Super Bowl, they get a 4. Bengals and 49ers made it to the conference finals, but lost, etc. Yeah, Bills won the divisional. No, yeah, Bills won the wild card round, but lost in the divisional round, etc. I think I got that right. There are 4 rounds, right? If you're a wild card team. Yeah. So, okay. So we built this new version called NFL Train CSV. We did this last time. I just called it that. This time I just renamed it, so nothing new. Can you see the screen, by the way? Can you see the text on the R screen? Does it look reasonably clear?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
please.
there's a
Yes.
chat. Sorry, I'm not always very good. Thank you. Okay, so let's, I want to dump that whole thing just to see. I think I called it NFL trainers. What did we call it? The name of the, so yeah, let's look at this command. So we read in NFL train. I called it NFL 22 because this is really the info from the 2022 season. So let's just look at the whole thing again. So I can type print or other things. And you can see, I guess it's in order of the playoff, how far they went in the playoffs. So here you have all the teams that didn't make it. There's no real secondary order that I know here. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, if there is one. So it's all just arranged by the how far they made it in the playoffs. So there you have it. And that's from 2022, not this year. Okay, and the idea was that we wanted to understand how points for and points against relate to how far they make it in the playoffs. Maybe points for is the most important thing, more than points against. I mean, overall, you would think it would be just the point differential, but we're going to treat them separately, if nothing else, just for the sake of having such a model with like two things that predict the response. This is called the response, and these are the predictors. Now, normally you might think these, if I take some linear function of these two things, I'll get a number between 0 and 5, and that is true for some types of models. But what this is going to do is it's going to give us a, it's going to give us a probability that based on this information, we're just going to take out these two. Maybe I should do that now. Let's do that now. Clean it up. So let's get rid of all those other ones. And I noticed once I loaded the mass package, the select didn't work the way I wanted it to work. So I used instead this command transmute, which can do even other things than just select the columns, but this will select them and it will just select these columns. So I don't know why, do we need one loss? We might as well keep it, I guess, for now. We can always get rid of it later. Let's also, we definitely need this, right? Let's also put this in here. Okay, so these are the ones we're going to see how they relate to each other statistically. So let's try this. Yeah. So if you just put them in like that with nothing else, it acts like select. It just selects those columns. If you can do fancier things though, too. You could like make a new column that's a function of the other columns and include that. So there'll be more of that later. That's fine. So now I have this, and now let's just look at the whole thing again. Or maybe let's look at the top just because it's easier on the screen. So we'll go ahead, NFL 22. Let's just look at the top half. And hopefully it, yeah, that makes sense, right? One team didn't make it because 14 teams make it. So hopefully this looks correct, basically, yeah. All right, so I'll just run the model again in front of all of you, since maybe we even have other people watching this on YouTube or something like that. So we'll just do the whole thing so that people can kind of follow it. So this is the playoff round the team made. This is the points against, points for. I don't think we'll use this now because these mask this. These are very related to each other. Not just points for, but if I take points for and points against, it's basically highly correlated to the won-loss percentage. Not perfectly, but it almost causes more problems than helps to include all three. So we're just going to use PF and PA. And P off for the response. Okay, so now let's run the model. We'll do it in real time. So we're still just using NFL 22. And then once we have the model built, we're going to apply it to the 2023 regular season to get the probabilities for the playoffs, which already happened basically, except for one game. But we're going to pretend they didn't. We're going to put ourselves back in time to like whenever they started, December, ended, whenever it started. So let's do this. Next command now builds the model. So I'm going to type like just model, say, or I could call it model 22. Let's call it model 22. Yeah, it's the only model. So let's just call it model equals, and this is polar, like the Polar Beverage Company. So polar NFL 22, that's my data. No, you don't want to do it that way. You want to put that at the end. So you put data equals NFL 22 last. And just to give you some motivation to learn this, I'm glad you're all here, first of all. Thank you. And it helps me to have you here. It increases my energy and all. We're going to have a homework problem like this. I won't do this exact one, but you can maybe do the NBA or the NHL or the NBA from a previous season or the NFL from previous season. So that will be in the next homework. So polar. So now let's put the command in. You got to type as factor. Do you remember what this does? How is the playoff round reached related to PF and PA? So I'm going to put PA first. No, PF first, offensive points, defensive points, like that. Okay. Does anybody remember what as factor POF does? It tells you that this is not to be treated like an integer. It doesn't have those kind of integer properties. So it's a label. Okay. And so it will consider the distance, say, between 0 and 1 to be not necessarily equal to the distance between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, et cetera. Okay, so it's not treating it, it's not using those kind of properties of those numbers. It's just treating it as a label. All right, so there we go, I think that's right. Hit return. So now we're done. We got what we need. We got the juice out of 2022, not the VIG, but the fruit of the data from the 2022 NFL season, regular season and postseason. So we could just type mod. I wonder what happens. Yeah, then you just get the basics here. And in fact, this is all we need. If you type summary mod, well, you get a little more information. I want to look at that too in a second. But these 6 numbers here are what you need. PF, PA, and then those intercepts, they're called. Write that down in a bit, but you'll actually see it in a second as well. So yes. If you remember, this is treating, what this does is it basically gives you an exponent that is linear in the offensive points and defensive points. It says, give me offensive points, defensive points. What's a plane that will approximate the data after I transform it? So it's a little more complicated, but basically says, okay, multiply offensive points, points 4, by this, multiply defensive points by this. That makes sense that it's negative, right? Because fewer defensive points are good. They contribute to winning. So that will make it positive when I add these two together. Then it adds them together. And then it says, well, if you want the probability that you're at 0 that you're at 0, say, use this intercept. You want the probability you're at 1, use this intercept. Probability you're at 2, use this, 3, etc. And so you've gotten, 5 separate models all at once here. And what we'll do is I'll explain this again too. This really means this will really give you the probability you don't make the playoffs. This one, if you use this, it's the probability you made it to the wild card round but didn't win or didn't make the playoffs. So this is cumulative. It absorbs this probability. So you'll always see these numbers increasing because every team either made it to the Super Bowl or did worse than that, basically, right? Every team made it to the Super Bowl or did worse. So at the end, it will be like 0.9999, something like that. All right, good. Yeah, we're almost there. So yeah, we're almost there. So I also feel like it's a little crazy, but at least we're recording it and you can slow down and watch it or look things up. Let's see, before we go ahead. Yeah, so we need our NFL 2023 data. And I propose, yeah, so we're just going to do one at a time here. We're going to look at, the first thing will be the probability that a team doesn't make the playoffs. Yeah, so I can type this in because I know it's a lot of talking. So first column for NFL 2023 will denote probability team I doesn't make playoffs. And this is based on what? Based on, see, I don't do as good unless we're talking, but it is different when you're online. So based on points for and points against. Okay, so that's what it's using to determine these probabilities. And it's using NFL 2022 season as a way to figure this out. All right, so let's do it now. So where's the 2023 data? I think I have it. I think I grabbed it ahead of time off profootballreference.com. Let's see, do we have it or did I not read it in yet? Let me see. So if you type LS, it should tell you all your data sets you have. It says NFL 2023. It's funny, I can't remember that. I did it just a couple hours ago. So let's type head NFL 23 and see what we get. Yeah, it's in there, and I already cleaned it up a little too. So there's no playoff round column, right? Because where are we? What day is today? Go ahead, I'll wait. Somebody want to tell me what day it is today? I wonder who's here. I don't even know.
Are you talking about what day it is today, or?
Yeah, in our imagination, like, because to do this experiment, there we go. Now I can see the speaker. Hi, you. Yeah, so like where do we imagine we are? We're predicting see, if you don't know, it's okay. So we're imagining the regular season's concluded basically in the 2023 season, but the playoffs haven't started yet, really. And in a sense, finding the probability then that they didn't make the playoffs is kind of trivial. So in a sense, you know what I mean? Like, this makes me think maybe we should just start with the teams that, just start with the 14 playoff teams. It's okay, you can do it either way, but I think we will do that for the homework problem. We'll just start with the set of teams that make the playoffs. Okay, if you want, I can minimize you out here so that I don't want you feeling like you're okay. So we'll play with that over there until I don't do Zoom that much. Okay, so that's where you have to think we are. We don't know how these teams did in the playoffs. These are the top. Well, I don't even know if they're the top teams or how this is arranged. We could try to arrange it and just see what we get. So let's arrange it in descending order. So NFL 23. Part of this is just to get you used to these commands too. Descending, and let's take points for minus points against and just see what we get. Yeah, so this should arrange it by the strongest team. Yeah, so these are the teams that have the best point differential and that we expect to do well in the playoffs. You notice Miami was out early. Saints didn't make the playoffs. I think this should be, yeah, these are the ones with the best margin of victories. Look, it doesn't take much, already down to 13, and here's your here's a positive one too, the Eagles. So I wonder if it is exactly half are positive. Yeah, 16 are positive. The Raiders, almost zero. Okay, so yeah, so I'm imagining that today is the day before the wild card round. So in a way, doing the first one, I wonder what it's going to say. It's a little silly, but it doesn't really know how this works. It's just thinking of these as numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as labels. It doesn't know that the teams are matching off in this knockoff kind of system and that the zeros don't get a chance either. I'm really convinced that the way to do this is we don't want to include the 0 one. Should we do it again? No, well, then we'd have to do the 2022 one again. So let's just proceed forward with this, I think, for now. And then on the homework, we'll fix it. So it's always good to have new things on the homework that you have to think through too. So, okay, so here we are. So let's see what we get here, and let's use these numbers up here to do this. So what I want to do, here's my model here, and I want to make a function. Now, if I was at the board, I would definitely write this down so we could all see this, but you'll see it. I want to make a function of using these numbers. Now, for the first one, the ones that missed the playoffs, I'm going to use points for, points against coefficient, and the first intercept here. So from 0 to 1. So this is, I'm going to type this in a minute, but I just want to write it down for myself. The coefficient for points for, I'm going to round it. It's 0.045. For points against, it's minus 0.028. And my first coefficient, my first intercept, which we were calling like beta 0 or beta 0.1, is, let's call it 6.6. Let's just call it 6.6. They don't have to be perfect for this, right? We got a bit of error here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So make it a little simpler. Okay, so now I want to add to this 2023 data set. I want to add a column that's going to put the probability that that the teams don't make the playoffs. Okay, so even though you really know, because it's the end of the season, we're going to do the 0 one, but it's kind of silly and we don't really need to do it. Okay, there we go. That's enough on that. So where's the transmute command? There it is. We're going to use this now. So we kind of needed this anyway. And in fact, when you're only adding one new column, you can use another command. So I'm going to show you this. It's called mutate. So we're going to put in mutate here. Mutate NFL 2023, and you just put the one you want, and you can write it as a function of the other columns and as sorry, I'm distracted, and as constants or anything that is a constant or algebra. So first I'm going to set y0 equal to the linear function that's given by these coefficients up here. But I also got to use PF and PA. So it's going to be first I have the coefficient, right? So it's 6.6. Just to make it easier, you probably would want to use all the decimals if you were doing serious work here. But for demonstration, it doesn't really matter. And now I'm going to do 0.045 times PF plus, or it's minus, right? Minus 0.028 times PA. So just like Excel, we use the asterisks for multiplying. And yes, this is enough. And I think I can now do something with y0. I think it's defined. But let's just do it one step at a time here. I'm not done yet. This won't be a probability. You're going to see what it is when we go here. Actually, this is a really interesting step. So let's see what we get here. Okay, good. Nice and silent. That's good. So now let's look at it. Let's look at maybe just the top. Yeah, top few will be okay. So yeah, okay. So these are the Y zeros here. And now I want to take the inverse logic of these. I want to solve for what the probability is. So this is a number between any real number, minus infinity and plus infinity. And now it gets mapped to a number between 0 and 1, which will represent this probability. This is the exciting part. Okay, so now let's do it again and add that. And I don't need to do this again. This is already there. So let's just call this P0, meaning the probability that you don't when you don't make it to any playoff round. And this, does anybody remember what this is, the formula? It's okay. It's the e to this, e to the y0, and divided by 1 plus e to the y0. And I'm going to round it too, so that it's not too long. And the other thing I want you to just appreciate here is that yep, 2's enough, right? Did I put too many in there? Let's see. Not enough. So round this whole thing to 2 decimal places. That looks better. And then close that. Yeah, yeah, if you look at this function, it's taking this number, which could be any real number. It could be minus 50, 10 million, whatever, 2. And it's taking this. So you see, it's always going to be less than 1, right? Because it takes this number. And then down here, it takes something bigger than this. And then divides by, yeah. Now this, when I take e to this number, even though these are negative, right, this will be a positive number. When it's negative, this will be like 1 over an e to something, so it will be small. And when it's positive, it grows very fast. But this is always a positive number. So I have a positive number over 1 plus that number. So it's a number between 0 and 1. It's a and it can be used for probabilities. Hopefully I did it right. Okay, I didn't do it right. Unexpected comma. Let's see. Oh, I don't want the team necessarily. I don't need that. Yeah, that might just be it. Nope. I have one too many commas, Brown. Let's just try without rounding it. EXP Y0, comma, sorry, slash 1 plus EXP Y0. Yeah, that worked. I don't know what I did. I think I just didn't type it in right. Yeah, I want to round that. We can round it after. So let me round that now. Look, that's cool too, right? Because you got the Jets. It looks pretty good here. So let's round. So yeah, I got to do it in there. If I just do it here. So yeah, no, you can do it like this, one thing at a time. So let's type NFL 23, $. This is how you can access these one at a time. A lot of information in this, but it's okay. We'll get there. So $. Can you see these notifications come up? Anyway, it doesn't matter. P0 equals round NFL 23 $, P0, comma, 2. It worked. Yeah, that's better, right? So what's the probability the Bills don't make the playoffs? Remember, it doesn't know that this is already set. It's just doing it based on points for and points against. And so it says 1 in 100. They're just too good. Dolphins, too good. They're going to make it. Jets, they're not going to make it. Patriots are not going to make it. Ravens, 0 chance. They're in. Okay? Browns should be in. The Browns did make it, right? Yeah, they did. They lost in the first round. Now that I remember, I think. All right, so you want to see them all? We can see them all. Let's see them all. So, but let's do some of these others. So this is a way, like before the playoffs start at the end of the regular season, it's a critical time. If you're a gambling company or an analyst, you know, people do it for fun too, is to set your bracket or to make odds that which team will, you know, win which round at what odds and things like that. So here you go. So yeah, does any of these jump out at you? So remember, if it's high, it's a high chance they didn't make it. So the Steelers are kind of a surprise, right? They made it a couple rounds. And who else? So you know, you can go and then compare this with other things. Okay, now let's do the next one, and we'll see how many we want to do. I don't want to go on too long with this, and we're getting close anyway to the end of the lecture. But let's do another one. And we're going to, again, we're going to use this mutate and transmute command and just, that's it, basically. You don't have to do any more modeling. You used your training data from 22 season, and now you're just building out what the model says should be true for the 23 season. This is maybe the most sophisticated thing we're doing in the whole course in a way. But so let's just do this though. But I think by doing it early, you will see it again. It will be on the homework. So you're going to get a lot more experience with it. And I think that's good. Okay, let's do the next one, right? So I'm going to do, I could also get rid of Y0 now since it really doesn't have any meaning to sports fans. So we could get rid of that now. Let me do another one, and then we'll get rid of both Y0 and Y1 in the same swipe. Okay, so use your up arrow key so you don't have to type everything in again. I made too many mistakes this time, so it's actually a little annoying, but here we go. Okay, so I had a new intercept for Y1 here. It's bigger, and to understand the math of that, this is not our goal at this point. By the way, I have some really good references for this, really well written, 2 references, one from UCLA and one from Cornell, and you can look at those, and they're really well written, typed out. I'll put them in my notes, and I can also put them in the video description or something like that. So, okay, so here we are. So these stay the same though. So this stays the same. These parameters are the same, no matter what difference you're looking at. This one's the first one that's going to be interesting. Well, not really. It's all interesting, but this is the one that's going to tell me if I want to make sure I don't do something wrong. So this is adding Y1 to the end. Yeah, this looks okay. So, yep. And now let's just look at, yep. So now, yeah, so this one will tell me the probability they made it to the wild card round or didn't make it to the wild card round. So I'm going to get a probability now by doing that inverse logistic transform on Y1 so that I get a P1, but then I really want to subtract P0 from P1 because what the real meaning is, this is the chance they lost in the wild card round or didn't make the playoffs. So let's do that now. It's again, just up arrow it so you don't have to think about it again or type it again. So P0, and we could try to round it now this time. Maybe I can get it right. So yeah. this is my mutate command, so see, where should the rounding go? It should go on P0. I wonder. It almost doesn't matter, but. And I don't want to overwrite this. So let me just try this. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I will just do something else. Okay, so that's that to there. Comma to it didn't like, okay, I'm just gonna do it again the way we did it before, so no round. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's okay. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Okay, 1. That worked. And now let's round it again. Once you do it once though, right? It's not much of a headache because then you can just hit all of them the way you did it the time before. All right, that should be good. And now let's look at it. All right. So oh my God, stop. Okay, P0, probability they didn't make the playoffs. The Bills is 0.01. Probability they lost in the wild card round, 0.05. But really the way to interpret this is the probability either that they made it as far as the wild card round, but no further. So the probability they make it to the wild card round, but don't make it to the next round is 0.04. Okay. So I don't think we need to subtract it here, although we could, and then they would add up to 1. But just because you might want to use it in the other sense, you might want to think about it this way. Like this tells you that there's a 1 in 20 chance the Bills only made it as far as the wild card round and then got knocked out. So what does that also tell you? Go ahead, I'll wait for you to somebody to say it. If I know there's a 5% chance that they only made it as far as the wild card round, what's the complement of that? Anybody? That there's a 95% chance they made it beyond the wild card round, right? So you could say, in a way, you could say they have a 95% chance at the start of the playoffs of making it at least into the divisional round. Okay, let's do the rest. It will only take a second now, and I can get rid of all the Y's too. And we know what we're doing now, right? So let's just change these. Sorry, I need to get my 2 first. So
I had a quick question.
yeah,
Sorry.
sure, sure.
Does that mean that the Jets' chance of only making it to the wild card and nothing farther is 100%? If
Yes,
their
yes.
value is 1?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the same thing for the Patriots?
Patriots are gone. They don't even, they're certainly not
Right.
even making it to, yeah, right.
So it's implying if they made it to the playoffs, there's 100% chance this is the farthest they'd go.
Yep.
Okay.
So what
Just
the
want to make
model's
sure.
telling you. I mean, they have really bad numbers. They're saying there's no way they're gonna make it. Yep.
Yeah, no, that made sense. I just wanted to double check.
Very good. Yep, that's exactly what it's saying. So, okay, so let's do our next one. So this stays the same. Remember, we just changed the intercept. And what this does is it allows there to be a difference between 0, 1, 1, 2, etc. So, and we want to get the name right. Now, you're going to make mistakes, probably. I do. And just don't worry, just relax, keep going. That's part of it. So I think that's good. And now let's do this too. I gotta change the name, otherwise you overwrite what you did already. This will probably happen if you're new to this. It's okay. And finally round it. Change the name. Okay, let's look at it again. Okay, now the Bills. 40% chance they only make it to the divisional round. They lose in the divisional round. 5% chance they lose in the wild card round. 40% chance they lose in the divisional round. So there's a 60% chance for the Bills they would make it to the conference finals or beyond. right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, let's see. It starts with the wild card round has its 12 teams. Then the next round is 8 teams. That's called the divisional round. The next round is 4 teams. Yeah, it just happens so quick. And that's called the conference finals. Yeah. So they're giving the Bills a 60% chance to make it to the conference finals. They did not, correct? The Ravens and the Chiefs made it. So if you look, the Ravens, yeah, look how low. Wait a second. Why is the Ravens? Oh, because it's all over here for the Ravens. They're saying there's a 94% chance the Ravens make the conference finals. That's what the model's saying. Make sense? Want to see we see some more? So what's another good team? The small numbers will probably mean a good team, right? So not many good teams in this first batch here. So let's look at the maybe so yeah, the Cowboys had a 95% chance to make it to the conference finals, Bills a 60% chance. Any other small ones? What about tail? NFL 20. Huh. Okay. How about all of them? I'm just looking for those small ones because those should be the good teams, right? So Bills pretty good. Dolphins pretty good. 60%, 54% chance to be one of the last 4 teams. Ravens a 94% chance to be one of the last 4. Lions an 18%. That's one of the next highest. So the model's seems skewed a little low to me. No, maybe not. Only 4 teams left. It's like these percentages, I think, should add up to 400. If you think about it, the negative, the residual of it. So like 60% here, 54 here. If I add up all those numbers, I feel like I should get 400% because there's 4 teams. And it seems to make sense to me, but I'm not totally sure. San Francisco, 93% chance. That makes sense. All right, let's keep going. I got just a couple more to do, and then that will conclude it. Remember, the big other thing you can do is to, I think, don't include the teams that don't make the playoffs. Just do it on the playoff teams when you get to the end of the regular season. This will be in the homework. You can pick your own sport. I mean, I don't know if we can do some of them, but ones that have this system that I understand. Anyway, the 4 sports that I said I could do. For projects, you can do anything, like you can do soccer and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if it will work for this. Okay, let's go. So 2 more to do. And let's just see what we get here. So again, and then we'll clean the table up as a last thing to 3 there, and that should be good. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, I tried to do too much. I got to do the Y first. Yeah, okay, good. These errors are good things, really, right? So Y3, I have 12.6. So Y3 is 12.6. Everything else stays the same. And now I can do that 3, and now I can round it. And now let's look at the head of it. Okay, yeah. So probability Bills make the Super Bowl. Who wants to tell me?
Is it 27%?
Yeah, very good. 27%, right? Very good. Probability they make it to the conference finals, but don't make the Super Bowl. I subtract these 2 numbers, right? 33%, etc. probability they make it to the divisional round, but not beyond. Subtract these two numbers. Let's keep going. We got just a few minutes, and I want to finish this, and then we will clean it up as a last step. So for the last one, for the intercept is 13.5. So let's put that in. Okay, up arrow, just do this. And that's it. There is no 5. Let's round this one to, because 5 is implied, right? They're all going to end up at 1. So that's fine. So let's see. Yep. Okay, and now, well, let's look at this before, in case I do something dumb. So let's, yeah, okay, let me make this bigger so that it's all on one. Okay, what's the probability the Bills win the Super Bowl? Now, these should all add up to 100, right? Or the leftovers should all add up to 100. The leftovers should all add up to 200. Leftovers to 400. Okay, so I think 13% for the Bills, the disappointing Dolphins, 11%, the Ravens, 60%. So far we're at 60 and 84. Maybe it's not true. And yeah, because I think there are probably going to be some more. So maybe they don't conserve that way. I'm not sure. Okay, very good. Let's clean this up as the last thing and then analyze it a little. So the last thing I want to do, get those Y's out of there. And because they're kind of interesting for the math, but they're not really interesting for the sports. So let's just get rid of those. So let's use the transmute command, because I think with the mass package, we don't want to use the select command. So let's call it NFL 23. Let's just rename it in case we make a mistake. Prediction, playoff prediction, and let's call this transmute. Now the mutate just adds something to the end, so I really want to use this one. Now you have to be careful to include everything you want here. I'm just going to put the team and the P's in here. I don't need the other stuff. We used all that. That's done. So I'm just going to put P0. There's no more P1, P2. I kind of like these better than I could subtract them, right, to get the actual probabilities for each round, but I kind of think this is better. And the last one would be just ones, so we won't even put that in there. So that's it. It worked. And now let's just print the whole thing. Yep. This is it. Remember, they're not all going to be 1. Anyone who's 1 has, according to the model, has 0% chance to win the Super Bowl. But let's see what we get. Okay, look at the Bills profile. You could make a little chart too, or show the probability as a little graph building up to 1 or other things, other ways to represent it. Bills have a 13% chance. Dolphins have 11. Ravens 60. Maybe could keep track of that. That's 83 so far. Chiefs a 1% chance. That's changed at this point. No, they don't add to 1. They add beyond. Cowboys quite high. 64. Lions 2%. So they were in on the Lions early. Niners 56. So definitely Ravens are the overwhelming favorite according to this model. And then second would be second would be the Niners, I guess. Yeah. So the Niners are there and they're predicted to be there. They were second. So maybe they're the favorite this weekend. I don't know. Maybe this also shows you this model is not sufficient. It's helpful, seems to be doing the right thing, but we need more interesting, or not more interesting, we need more powerful data, like how the teams were trending at the end of the season. And also this is a little flawed in the sense that, it doesn't use the playoffs to predict later playoff rounds. It's just saying at the start of the playoffs, what odds would you set for success in the playoffs. Okay, I want to stop. I'm going to is this okay to everyone? So you're going to build this such a table. I want to have everybody do possibly different seasons and sports. So you're going to pick your own. And this is the next assignment. So I know the notes haven't been getting up there in a timely way, but you'll have a video and then the notes should start becoming there on time very soon. So let me stop sharing this. And is there anything you want to say before I stop sharing? Okay, let me stop sharing. Is there anything you want to say before we stop recording? I'll stop recording then. And